coming at you from Kenya, unshaven, looking a bit rough. But I really appreciate you watching my podcast. Hope you enjoy this. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm really trying to do it. The more people that I can get to like, share and subscribe, the more guests I can get on for you as well to listen to different things. So, thanks very much. Peace out. Like, share, subscribe. I'm here today with Adam Catterall. I know you from BT Sport, Open Mat, which I absolutely love. That's really why I've got in touch with you. I think that's amazing what you three do. The dynamics you have is superb. As I said with Nick, it's just like, it's brilliant. And Fight Disciples, I've been looking today and like, you're everywhere. Oh, you've been everywhere, haven't you? I was looking, I was starting to write it down. I thought, fucking hell, man, I'm going to have about 5 pages here of stuff. So, you're on Talksport as well now, aren't you? Do you cover the footy?
Yeah, I do. I'm just keeping my hands in with the football because that's how I started on Talksport. I started mainly doing football programs and trying from the inside to push fight sports and boxing and various things like that to for the bosses to obviously take, and they did. So I've been leading the boxing coverage for the last 4 years, but I've been at Talksport now for about 6-7 years, something like that. So I started doing football. So I do one football show a week just to keep my hand in, so I can give me mates abuse who support various teams. You know what I mean?
Who do you support?
From Blackburn, mate. So you can't really class what we're doing as football, but you know what I mean. We've started the season all right. We're doing okay.
Uh-huh.
I'm happy in the Championship. It all gets a bit giddy in the Premier League, doesn't it? I'm happy in the Championship. You know what I mean? Knocking about with some proper football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me it's all right at the moment. I'm an Everton fan, so things feel all right for the change. Like,
James, he's got a bit of a wand on him, isn't that kid? Hasn't he? He can do a bit.
Yeah, they're looking good. So I fell out of love with football for quite some time. You know what I mean? But there's so much MMA to watch. You know, it's difficult to fit it in. Like, what, Cage Warriors is on tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday night. So and then the UFC's on, which is going to be an amazing card. You covering that?
Yeah. Plus, with what you just said there, football's changed, hasn't it? I mean, since I was a kid, that was the sport. Like growing up, late 80s, 90s, it was just mustard. Football was everything. But the adrenaline that I get now from watching football, it's not there. It's very rarely there. You know what I mean? It's very rarely that you get an unbelievable match that you sat there and you go, this is just that. I'm glued. 9 times out of 10, I try my best to sit down, watch a football match. And I've done well if I've got to 45 minutes without checking my phone. And then you get to half time, you're going, right, what's everybody else saying on social media? So you're having a bit of a play and getting stuck in. Get second half's kicked off, man. I'm still here, you know what I mean? Still messing about. That never happens in fights. Never happens, especially MMA. Like, for example, this weekend, we're lucky, aren't we? We've got Adesanya and Costa going at it, man. So I know it's the early hours of the morning, so you're going to be sleepy anyway. But, mate, when that happens, you know full well that after it, it's going to be a good hour, 2 hours before you could get some rest because your head's just like that. That was amazing. You know it's going to be amazing.
That's what I like about being in Asia. I get up early, like 5, 6 o'clock, watch the prelims, and then I watch it all day, and it's great. The timing's brilliant. You know what I mean? Like in the UK, it's horrible time, isn't it? You know, it's like in the middle of the night, you got to get up, and it's killed me.
You've got to be a dedicated fan, mate. I love the cards when they're in Asia or they're in Australasia. You know what I mean? So they put them on at crazy times in the morning, so that we get them, like you've just said there, breakfast time or something. It's mega that, and then you've got the rest of the day to crack on. But we're lucky that the last one on Fight Island, they're going to do it for a European time zone, so we're sound there, mate.
Have you been to Fight Island?
Yeah. We as it's branded as Fight Island. No, I went to 242, which was Habib Poirier last year. It's the same thing, but they've just branded it up as Fight Island this time around. So yeah, we're going back out for 254.
Oh, so you're going to be out there for one of the proper Fight Islands then?
Yeah, we're going out for Habib against Gaethje, so it should be good.
Oh, that'll be awesome, won't it? That's going to be.
Well, the card's unreal. The card's unreal, innit? I mean, on that, if you just look down the list of everybody that's involved in that, it's just stupid. I'm just a little disappointed that I heard today that Hamzat Chimaev isn't going to be on Fight Island. They're going to do some stuff with him in America, which is a bit, I'm gutted, man, because he's flying, isn't he?
Because he's something special, isn't he? The way he knocked out
mere shot at the weekend.
Shot the other day, it was just like, ooh, he's got hands as well, this kid, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly. I just thought he was a ragdoll. I thought he was a ragdoll expert, but no, man, he can got some whack in him as well, and he's doing it 2 weights. That's the interesting thing, isn't it? He's flicking between middleweight and welter, so yeah, he's buzzing.
And I just noticed today they put Robbie Lawler and
Mike Perry.
What's that?
Mike Perry.
Mike Perry, yeah, that's going to be an interesting match. It's like, oh, I'm not sure about that one. I don't really want to see Robbie Lawler in that fight.
Well, from matchmaking point of view, it's great, isn't it? But obviously, in July, he got himself in a bit of bother, did Mike Perry, and I thought that he was out for a short period of time, whilst he was in rehab or getting some help professionally. But according to a few people that I've spoken to today, he's allegedly seeked that help. He's passed all the tests that they want him to pass, so he's back in November, I think it is, isn't it? November 21st or something. So
he's good for the sport, him, because he's just great to watch, isn't he? That having his girlfriend in the corner, that generated so much press. You know what I mean? Everyone was talking about it. Not that he needed it there, but you know what I mean? It was like superb. Yeah. Let's go back in time a bit. How did you get into Gate Crasher? That was a bit after my time. I was looking. Because I remember hearing something about you being a DJ, and then I look back and it's like you're Gate Crashing. I think Gate Crasher started about 95, 96 or something. And I really stopped going clubbing, and I was like a Manchester kid going,
Hacienda.
Banshee. That was my first place, Boardwalk and things like Hacienda. Sometimes, not very often, to the Hass. Probably one of the best nights ever was at the Hass. It was like one of them mad nights where it's Tuesday night, it's my birthday. Next thing, there's about 30 of us in the club. We're break dancing on the floor, kicking everyone everywhere, and then everyone's off work the next day. You know what I mean? It was just like one of them mad ones. So, but how did you get into all that? Like?
When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a radio presenter. Always, like going to school. My mum used to take us to school, and she'd always have like Chris Evans' breakfast show on Radio 1 on in the morning. So I'd have a bit of tuning on that, and I thought, right, that's what I fancy a bit of that. How do I go about doing it? So for some reason, I blagged my mum and dad to buy me a set of decks, because I thought that I could set it up as like a radio studio in my house, which I did, which I ended up doing. So I've got turntables in there, speakers, amps, obviously did their heads in blasting music out and all this type of stuff. But whilst I was doing that, I bought a proper mixer for it. So I just started teaching myself how to do it. And then when I left school, obviously went to college, and then like mates were wanting 18th birthday parties and all this type of carry on. So I got into it that way. I started doing like mobile DJing, started doing all people's parties and all that type of stuff. And I did all right and thought, this is a bit of me, this. I'm enjoying this. Then a mate of mine set up a bar in town in Blackburn, where I'm from. And he said, you couldn't come down and play like Friday nights or something for us, you know what I mean? We're a bit short. I said, yeah, no worries. So I fell into it that way, really. So I started DJing bars, playing house and various bits of that. And then just grew and grew and grew. And then a lad, again, it's all relationships. The whole game's relationships, isn't it? This guy was in the bar that I was playing at this one night. He came over and he said, listen, man, I've got a bar in Lancaster. I'd love you to come and play some of your stuff up there. Yeah, no worries. So I went up there, played there for about 2 years. That guy then got poached by Gatecrasher.
Okay.
So he went to go and be the manager of Gatecrasher. And obviously, I mean, they had some superstar people playing there, you know what I mean? Like Roger Sanchez and all these types of guys were playing there. But on a Friday night, they needed a resident DJ. So he tapped me up. He said, do you fancy it? Do you fancy coming down and doing some stuff? Boom. So went over there and then just had a whale of a time. But then that was kind of my last foray into club DJing, because I would have been around about 22, 23, 24 when I was at Gatecrasher. And then at 24, I managed to start to make it proper inroads in radio. So it was one of them where you go in, are you staying up all night DJing in really random places in the world, or are you going to concentrate and try and become a radio presenter and actually, you know what I mean, make a bit of a living out of it? So I made a decision just to pack it in and go, right, we're going down the radio route, mate.
So did you used to go clubbing yourself? Did you used to
do
man. Yeah? Where was the best?
So Cream was always mine at that time. Because if you remember, late 90s, Creamfields as a festival was just kicking off, wasn't it? Like really late 80s into the early 2000s. So me and my mates always used to go to that. Ibiza was always a big thing. Every year I'd be going on holidays to Ibiza, and Ibiza became a bit of a thing for us. But mainly for me then at that time, like early 20s, I was always working. I was lucky enough to, from Wednesday through Sunday, I'd be in a nightclub playing somewhere, you know what I mean? So yeah, going clubbing was always about the holiday to Ibiza or the festival with Creamfields, but being in clubs, bloody hell, man. Lived at, from the age of 17 through to 24, I was living in
I've never been
nightclubs.
to Ibiza. It was like...
Oh, you've never been?
No, it started to get big, so... And I used to spend all my money on the weekend as well. So, you know, my weekend would start on a Thursday and then finish on a Sunday night, you know, but...
Yeah.
So it was Rimini when I first started going clubbing. That was all the big place. Wow. You know, because it was like about 89 to 92 probably, when I was sort of... just missed that Summer of Love in Manchester, which was meant to be wild, like, you know, but yeah, so I got into it around that time, and then
cool, man. Started
doing other things then, which weren't good for me, you know. And then rehab. So yeah, that was my thing. So I missed Ibiza. Everyone said it was mental. So
it's amazing. Just, listen, I still go there now. I still holiday there now. Not to the places that I used to go, of course, being a dad now and married and what have you, but it's still just a beautiful, beautiful place, and there's loads of little places that you can end up, little quarries that you can end in, and next thing you know, you're on some beach dancing till whatever time of the day, you know what I mean, having a right old time of it.
Yeah, a friend of mine, she loves it. She said if you go over the other side of the island, it's super chilled out, super nice, you know what I mean? I've not been. I need to get there.
Get it on your list. Get it on your list. Get it on your list.
Yeah, I've got a few things to tick off, but yeah. So you went from there to DJing on the radio. Where at? Where was your next?
Yeah.
Place?
So
yeah,
no. Oh wait.
No,
I didn't go. No, I didn't go straight there. So what happened was my local radio station in Preston is called Rock FM. So, or Red Rose. It used to be Red Rose Radio, then it became Rock FM. So obviously I was listening to that locally, and then a mate of mine just tapped me up. He said, listen, they're advertising for people to go and work at Rock FM. And it wasn't a radio presenter's job or anything like that. And I was always that kid when I was younger, especially making tapes at home, sending it off to radio stations, getting nothing back. Loads of people have had an experience like that, no doubt. And I thought, I'm only going to be able to influence this from the inside. I need to get on the inside, and then I can like you said, find out who the boss is and get in his ear and say, listen, man, I'm good enough for the radio. Get me on there, you know what I mean? So that's what I did. I took this job handing out flyers for this radio station. Meanwhile, I was obviously still DJing in Gatecrash and all this type of stuff. But then an opportunity came up. Obviously, I was blagging the boss constantly, just constantly blagging him, putting CDs on his desk saying, please stickers on. He's having none of it. Christmas, New Year comes round. Loads of presenters want time off. And he knew that I was DJing in these nightclubs and stuff like that. And he knew that the biggest night of the year was New Year's Eve, always is. So he came to me and he went, got a job for you. Do you fancy having a go on the radio? I went, yeah, absolutely buzzing for it. And he went, New Year's Day. And I went, oh, mate, don't do this to me. And he went, breakfast, New Year's Day, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like...
Straight from the club.
He dropped that on me like probably a week's notice. And I'm due to play Gatecrashing next week, like the biggest night of the year. So I'm like, shit, how do I do this? So what I did, because the way that my Gatecrashing sets would have worked, I'm the resident, so therefore they would have had a massive name on. Let's say it's a Roger Sanchez. I'd come warm up, Sanchez would come and play, I'd finish the night off, and Sanchez might play.
Was it an all-nighter then, or was it?
Yeah, it will have been. It's New Year's, man. At that time, early 2000s, it would have been till 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, yeah? So I blagged one of the other resident DJs, because there were about 4 or 5 of us, to swap sets with me. So I ended up playing earlier on in the night. He played later on in the night, and he was happy with that. It was New Year, so he was up for it anyway. So he played the later shift. I played the earlier shift, which enabled me to leave Sheffield at, let's say, 3 in the morning. So bomb from Sheffield, right back to Preston, did this breakfast show. Thinking about it now, it's probably one of the worst programs I've ever done in my entire life. But off the back of that, I made that debut, and then off the back of it, he gave me an opportunity I think it was in the April of that year. So that's how big of a gap it was. In the April of that year, he said, right, I've got 2 weeks of overnight radio cover. So 2 till 6 in the morning. This lad's going on holiday. Do you want to cover the slot? And I went, oh, I'd love to. Absolutely. So I did 2 weeks of overnight radio. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, he said, that lad's not going to come back. It's your shot. It's your show if you want it. And I went, oh my days. So that 2 things happened there. Obviously, it proved to me that I had it, that I was good enough to be a radio presenter. But it also taught me how ruthless that game is, because that kid went on holiday and they just sacked him. So that's how bad and ruthless the game is. So obviously, I ran with it, and I went through the schedule quite quickly. So I think I ended up doing 2-3 months of overnights in that slot, 2 till 6 in the morning. They then binned the guy off who was doing the evening show, 7 till 10. They gave it to me, so I ended up doing 7 till 10 in the evening, which was great. I think I was about 24 years of age. Perfect time slot for someone at that age, talking to, students and various things like that. It was mega, man. I did that for 1 year. It did really, really well. It was during the year of, was it 2006? There was a tournament. I can't remember whether it was World Cup or Euros, but it must have been around about 2006 when that happened. Because off the back of it, they gave me the breakfast show. So it went mad. They covered the World Cup. We did. It was in Germany, so that must have been the World Cup in Germany in 2006. Yeah, that's right. So we covered the World Cup in Germany in 2006. Off the back of that, I got promoted to breakfast. And then I did 3.5 years on that breakfast show. And that's the thing that kind of catapulted me into getting to Radio 1 and various things like that. Because within 3 months of that, being on that breakfast show, I was winning national awards, So people had started taking notice of what I was doing.
That's what it is.
So the start.
It's since then you've won awards, haven't you, every year for something. I was looking at your awards list. Whoa, I'm not writing all these down. The intro belongs.
I wouldn't say every year, but there were, because I've had breaks. I've had breaks and various things like that. But when I started, so for example, I'm talking 2006 there. Mm-hmm. Every year up until 2010, I won something on a national level. Then I had a bit of a break, got into Radio 1, and then I think it was only on. Yeah, I took a decent break away from actually having a fixed abode when it came to radio, because I was just moonlighting and doing loads of other bits and stuff like that. And then, it picked back up in 2016 and it just kicked off again. So, all good, man.
Go back to that. It's like, so you went from gate crashing, and then what show was it you did? Was it just like a normal
radio?
Yeah, what type of show was it? It wasn't playing club tunes.
Oh no! It was music. It was a music. It was what you would class as like what you'd hear on Capital or what you'd hear on those types of radio stations. It was chart music with just me in between, obviously trying to be a funny bugger. You know what I mean? All that type of stuff. And then so it went from overnights. Evening show, breakfast show, did that for 3.5 years. And then I decided at the end of that 3.5 years, after doing what we'd done and it being it was a successful show. We had a good team and we did really, really well out of it. But I decided after 3.5 years that I wasn't going to renew my contract there, because it's like anything, isn't it? You know what I mean? Nothing brilliant happens in the comfort zone, does it? Nothing amazing. So I was cruising, mate. I had a great show. People were listening to it. It was winning awards. And then it just got to that point of I'm too comfortable now. Mm-hmm. Because everything else previous to that, I was flying by the seat of my pants, and it was like, wow, you know what I mean?
How many years?
I don't like the feet.
How many years that you got to that point?
I did the breakfast show for 3.5 years. So, yeah, so I started it at the back end of 2000, right at the start of 2007, and I finished it randomly on my birthday in the middle of 2010. So yeah, about 3.5 years. But anybody will tell you who's done that type of radio. Breakfast programs take time to build audience. You know what I mean? It take a good 2 years to get a decent following, get a decent audience, get a bit of recognition, and then, like I said, for that last year, it became really comfortable. I was like, we out sound like a twat, untouchable. You know what I mean? And it was like,
yeah, I know.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that feeling though by the end of it, because I was thinking, I don't want to just cruise now. I've built to this stage now. I'm late 20s. I've got to kick on to the next thing. I'm doing this locally. Nobody knows me nationally. I'm doing this locally. Let's go again. So I decided to not renew my contract. I took 3 months out. In that period of time, I got married. So I took 3 months out, just took a total rest, went on holiday, went traveling around America and stuff. Came back and I went, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my ass on Radio 1. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to move to London and I'm going to build relationships with people and connections and stuff like that. Bear in mind, I didn't know anybody at Radio 1. I just thought, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a go at it. So I went and I was basically just rocking up in London on a Monday, and I'd do voiceover work. I'd do all sorts of different bits just to pay my bills and stuff. I'd go home at weekends, but I'd be like flitting around London trying to get work. But in the meantime, I'd turn up on random radio stations just to keep my hand in. But then I'd be trying to set up meetings with the Radio 1 guy. Say, listen, man, I'm this guy. I've done this. You've seen me at these award ceremonies. You've seen me do this. I'm looking for an opportunity. That's all I'm looking for. And it took about 9 months. And luckily the guy that was in charge at the time, he must have took a bit of a shine to me, because he just went, yeah, go on, man, let's go. So yeah, after about 9 months, it was about April 2011 must have been. He put me on.
Most people had started to give up after about 9 months. And you don't get.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, right? When you've got other people that are relying on you, like you're married, you know what I mean? Even my mum and dad, they were like, why did you leave this Rock FM gig, man? Mm-hmm. You were getting paid, everything was cool, you were getting paid well, they were wording it as a job for life. You never got a job for life in this game. But you know what I mean? You're sorted. Why have you done that? I said, because in my head, I wanted something bigger. And I can always live, always. And I've had this mantra all the way through it, where I can live with trying and not succeeding. I can't live with not having a go, because I'll always wonder why. I'll always sit there going, I coulda, woulda, shoulda. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the coulda, woulda, shoulda guy. So let's just have a do. If I fail, and don't get me wrong, I've failed many times at many, many things, man. But at least I know. At least I've go at it.
Doing it. You know, failing is not trying. But if I ever go on it doesn't work out, that's not failing to me. That's at least having a go. You know what I mean? I'm like you. It's like a friend of mine said it 2 days ago. Don't regret the things that you've done. Regret the things that you haven't done, isn't it? You know what I mean? And I'm really up into that. You know, that philosophy of go for it, have a go at things. You know, this is what I want to do with this podcast. Speak to people like you who find something they want to do, go for it, and live a different lifestyle, and show other people that it can be done. You know, so.
Mate. Absolutely, you're and it's right to think like that, because this is another thing, right? I get so many messages from young kids. I say young kids, the teenagers really, who are starting maybe out on their university route or whatever, and they watch, similar to what you just said to me, they watch the open mat stuff, or they listen to Fight Disciples, or listen to me on Talksport or something like that, and they go, I want to do what that guy's doing. Traveling around the world and doing blah, 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 blah. But what they haven't seen is the 20 years that took me to get to this point right now, because the 18-year-old that's messaging me is probably only seen my work over the last 6 to 12 months, you know?
Yeah.
So all the things that have happened previous to me now has enabled me to do what I'm doing right at this moment. Mm-hmm. For anybody that thinks, he's just shot to it and here he is right now, that's not the case at all. I've had many failures. I've had so many people saying that this ain't going to happen, you're not going to be able to do this. I remember when I left that Rock FM gig, one of the biggest bosses in that company came to me and he said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "Because I want to get." And the words were, "I want to get to anyone. That's what I want to do." He said, "That's never happening." And I said, "Well, why do you think that's not happening?" He says, "Well, it's just not happening. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for people like you." And I was going, "Right, fucker, I'm having this." And I'm the one that takes those types of things, and I go, "I'll show you, man.
Yeah.
Don't do that because I'll show you." Whereas I can understand loads of people going, "Yeah, well, they've been in the industry a lot longer than me. Maybe they know. Maybe yeah, they've seen it." I'm the type of person, and you seem the same, that the rules don't apply to me. That's the way the things that you think are the rules, that don't apply to me because I'm going to go and rip them rules up and I'm going to make some new ones. That's what we're going to go and do. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that works in your favour. Sometimes it can work against you as well. But that's always been my attitude. So I've always followed that. I've always followed my heart rather than what other people tell me and sinks inside my head. And luckily, touch wood, we're getting to a stage now where we're starting to really kick on, man. It's starting to really go.
Yeah, people put too much emphasis on keep that level. I've had 2 or 3 periods of my life where I've lost pretty much everything, and I've got nothing, and then it's like, I could start again now, and you know what I mean. And my whole world's been a disaster because of whatever drug problems or this problem or whatever it is. Like that's cathartic. Actually, it's like when you've got nothing and you're starting again, and it's all right, we can go again now, and it's life doesn't have to keep at this level. Like as long as you're breathing, you're in with a chance, and it's it's an adventure, isn't it? It doesn't have to be perfect, and taking risks is a big thing.
Mate, it's far from perfect. I mean, I've just been only talking to you really from a professional point of view, right? When I was 19, again DJing in nightclubs, I became a dad. I got a girl pregnant on a one-night stand. Became a dad. You know what I mean? So you got to deal with that situation there. When I was 21, trying to make a few quid, I set up this random computer selling business for some reason. I have no idea why I did it, but it started becoming quite successful.
Yep.
But then I got ripped off and was nearly bankrupt. 21 years of age, you've got a kid to sort out. You've got dreams and aspirations of becoming a radio presenter that seem a million miles away at that particular point in your life. And you've literally not got a pot to piss in. You've just had your car towed away on the bloody back of a trailer, mate. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Of course you're gonna be the best radio presenter in the country. Yeah, sound, mate. Right, let's go and get a proper job. So, and that's probably why my mum and dad, when I left Rock FM when I was about 27, 28, they're like going, "What the fuck are you doing, mate?" You know what I mean? But you've got to be true to yourself. You're only here once, aren't you? You've got to be true.
Yeah,
and you've got to chase all those things that you want.
I see so much people like they say, "I wish I could do that." Well, you can. It's up to you if you want to do it or not. Are you willing to take the risks? Are you willing to give up that to do what you want to do? When I said I was moving to Thailand, the amount of people, "I wish I could do it." Well, you can't. You know what I mean? It's up to you if you want to get rid of that.
It comes down. You just said it there, right? People talk about this wish thing, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, anything in life comes down to 3 specific things, right? And this is anybody listening to this. There's 3 things that you need. First of all, what is the thing that you're after? The goal, right? So, and this doesn't have to just be one thing. There can be several. You can do this for several different things. So let's say your goal is to be, as mine was when I was a kid, I want to be a radio presenter on Radio 1. Right? So that's the goal. I want to be a radio presenter on Radio 1. Now, if you think about that, that's a very specific goal. There's no room for any error there. What you're saying is, I want to be a radio presenter on Radio 1. So therefore, if you don't get to Radio 1, you didn't make that goal, right? That's the first point of what I'm trying to say is too many people are very general with the goal setting. You speak to kids at school today and they go, so what do you want to achieve? Oh, I want to get good grades. Yeah, but good grades is down to your interpretation. What's your interpretation of a good grade? Because you can then blag me to say, well, yeah, C's were a good grade to me. That's what you could do. Whereas if you came to me and you said, I want to get an A in English, there's no room for movement there, mate. This is what we're going for. Yep. So like what you just said there, you could say, yeah, I want to travel. Well, traveling could be me just fucking going to the shop down there. You know what I mean? Whereas you've gone, I want to go and live in Thailand. Shit, right. Well, Thailand's quite a long way away. Right? You know what I mean? So the goal setting, people are very general with the goal setting sometimes. Be specific. Laser it in. Put it right in that bullseye, man. Don't give yourself any room for error or movement with it. That's a specific goal. The second thing, and it comes back to what you just said there about giving stuff up and making that sacrifice, right? It comes down to desire. How badly do you want this shit? How badly do you want it? Does it keep you up at night? Do you think about it when you get up in the morning? Do you find yourself daydreaming about it? Do you find yourself doing it anyway, even though you're not getting paid for it? Do you find yourself in moments like what you were just saying there, when I was a kid, late teens, just become a dad, early 20s, my mates are all going out on the piss, enjoying themselves. They're having a whale of a time. I'm choosing to go on DJ in that nightclub because I think it's going to get me to wherever I need to get to. You know what I mean? I'm missing out on my mate's 18th birthday. I'm missing out on my mate's 21st birthday because I think if I do this now, it'll build me something to get to this level. So how badly do you want it will take care of sacrifices and all those types of things, because your answer will just be automatic.
Yeah.
I want to be, you've set the goal. How badly do you want it? Because you'll see all these kids that watch X Factor or whatever it is on a Saturday night. Oh, I want to be a singer. But do you? Do you really want to be a singer? Do you eat, breathe and shit this stuff? No, you don't, mate. Nobody, trust me, I've been doing this for 20 odd years and I still dream about this shit right now. Every day I'm like, wow, man, I'm interviewing X, Y, and Z tomorrow. And all night my brain will be like going, I'm going to ask this question. We're going to take it here. We're going to go here. We're going to go. And it's constant all the time.
It's like that.
And then the final thing, mate, and then
or in the morning.
And then the final piece of the jigsaw, because I think, personally, the first two bits are quite easy. Anybody, you can set that specific goal of what you really want. And again, that desire will be there because you've maybe thought about it and manifested it. And you go, yeah, I really want to do it. I really want to do it. But the journey to it is not going to be straightforward. Mm-hmm. It's not always just going to, you're not just going to go, well, there's my goal. I want to do that. Here we go. Well, hang on a minute. You've got all these bumps in the road, man. You've got all these other questions. You've got a mortgage to pay. You've got kids to look after. You've got this guy telling you that you're shit. You've got this, all these types of things, right? All these bumps in the road to test you. So the final thing is belief. Do you genuinely believe that you, and only you, there's only you that can do it. Do you genuinely believe that you can go and make that happen? No matter what happens, no matter who comes your way and says, you ain't good enough, mate. You ain't good enough. Oh, shit. Fuck, I've run out of money. Do you still believe? All these tests are going to come. They're going to keep whacking and whacking and whacking and whacking and whacking. And if the answer is yes every single time to all three of them questions about goal setting, having the desire for it, and genuinely believing in your abilities to make that thing happen, you will get there. You might not get there tomorrow, but you will get there. I promise you. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, most people, as you're saying, most people give an ambiguous goal because it gives you the way out, doesn't it? You know what I mean? You know, it's like yours was Radio 1, and then you got there. And yeah. What show did you get on Radio 1 first?
So I was doing early breakfast. So yeah, I was on before Chris Moyles.
Okay.
So he's doing obviously the biggest breakfast show that we've had in recent times. And I was doing the 2.5 hours before him. So I did that for 2 years. 18 months really, because what happened was, as you can see, this timeline's ticking along nicely now. 2012 Olympics roll into town, don't they?
Yeah, that was big shift. That's all. I was really what really made me curious about how to take that step from going from like DJing to. Were you commentating on the Olympics?
So what happened was...
That's a big learning curve, that must be. Or did you...
Yeah.
You know...
As well as that, you've also got people who know you for this, and now you want to go and do this. So there's a credibility thing there. You know, you've got to go, hang on, what's he doing over here? That's not what we associate this guy with. So what happened was 2012 came around and people going wild for Olympics. They were like going, mate, we are going to blow this thing up. It's going to be amazing. Obviously, I was at Radio 1 at the time, so the BBC are all over it. All the TV. If you were in the media, that was the sports media especially, it was the greatest time to be there because shit was going on all over the place. So I saw this email come round about the official organisers of the Olympics, LOCOG, London Organising Group, or whatever it was called. They were looking for in-stadium presenters, commentators, various things like that for all the events, for all the big events. So I'm like, oh, mate, fancy a bit of that. That's a bit of me, that, yeah, absolutely. So obviously went down the right routes and all this type of stuff and ended up getting to speak to the people that were in charge of it. And then they came back to me and said, listen, we really like what you, because you had to do a screen test and all this type of crap. So I said, we really like what you did. We'd like to use you at the XL Arena. Is there any particular sport at the XL Arena that you like? And I went, boxing straight away. So boxing, put me in. And they went, well, we've got this person and this person, quite a lot of people, obviously big names that are doing it. We're using Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield and all this type of stuff. And I'm like going, yeah, little old me's not going to get that gig. But listen, if you can use me on some of the stuff, I'd absolutely love it. I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give you some boxing stuff. We'll give you some judo and weightlifting stuff because that was also going on in the XL Arena. And he said, and what you like on table tennis? And I went, whatever, man. I'll do whatever. I'm not bothered. So I ended up doing them four. So I did a bit of boxing, weightlifting, judo, and table tennis. But table tennis was the one that I did the most of. It was random how it all worked out because when I turned up, I got on really well with the team. There was a guy called Johnny Cowan, who was a former Northern Irish table tennis player. Honestly, mate, mustard guy, brilliant commentator. Everything about him was mint. And he kind of welcomed me into this crazy, mad world of which I just fell for. It was mad. So, yeah, I started doing bits of in-house presenting. So I wasn't commentating at that time. I was doing like, I don't know if you went to any of the events at the Olympics.
I've been out the country for like 11, 12 years now, so I wasn't in the UK then.
So if you imagine, like, in the XL, what they did, they split the XL's massive, but they split it up into 6 mini arenas.
Mm-hmm.
So in the boxing, obviously, you have your boxing ring, room for fans, and then you'd have and kind of like your own TV show within that XL. So it wasn't going out on BBC or anything like that. You'd have your own TV show for everybody coming to experience that particular sport that day. And you'd be on the screen. So you'd be like, boom, 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 boom. Here we go. This is what we've got coming up for you today. Da-da-da. Nicola Adams is in later on. She's going for qualification for the gold medal. Blah, 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 all this. Anthony Joshua's coming up in a bit. And don't forget, we're going to be speaking to former gold medalist Lennox Lewis. Blah, blah, blah. And then in between the bouts, you would do that. You would go and speak to Amir Khan. You go and speak to Lennox. You go and all this. And it'll all be on the screen and people will experience it that way. So that was my gig. And I was doing that for boxing, weightlifting, judo. Table tennis was mad, mate, because everybody who's any good's from Asia. Chinese, Koreans, Thailand, all them. They're all mega. They're all like the gold, silver, bronze. None of them speak a word of Blackburn English. So I'm like, through an interpreter and all this type of stuff. But this is the thing. Johnny, who I was working with on the table tennis, he used to live in China. So he could speak fluent.
Whoa.
So me and him, I'd be doing all the banter with the crowd and stuff like that, revving it up, and then I'd cross over to him, and he'd be like doing a full interview with Li Xiaojia, who's like the table tennis queen. I'm like, this is mega. It was, the atmosphere in there was amazing. Who knew that Bill Gates was a table tennis fan, by the way? Because he rocked up one night, so I'm like interviewing Bill Gates, having a bit of a chat with him. It was mega, mate. The experience of being at 2012 Olympics was unreal. Anyway.
Did you have to do loads of research for those interviews, or did you just do it because there was so much that were off the cuff? Or how much for research?
Listen, I know nothing about table tennis. I knew a tiny bit about judo. I know nothing about weightlifting, and obviously being a massive boxing fan, I know all about the professional game. But when it came to the amateur game at that particular time, I was like, okay, who's the prospects? Who are we looking for? I knew about Anthony Joshua, I knew about Nicola Adams, but what about the other guys and girls? You know what I mean? Who else is involved in this? Katie Taylor obviously was a massive name at that time coming through from Ireland, so those types of things you already knew, but beautiful, mate. It was mega. Obviously, I could talk to Lennox all day about his career, mate. Just sit there all day going, yeah, well, let's talk to you, mega. So anyway, off the back of that, I got invited back to do the Paralympic Games. Again, enjoyed that, loved it. And then once the Paralympic Games had finished, I remember going on, because I was going on holiday to my brother. My brother-in-law was getting married in the Dominican Republic, and we were flying out literally the day after the Paralympics. And I was in the airport with my missus, and we were chatting away about the games and stuff. And I just went, I'm not going back to music radio. I'm not going back. Because I was due to go back to Radio 1, and I went, I've always thought that talking about sport for a living would be cheating. Because we do it in the pub, we do it with my mates, it's easy. It's the most natural thing in the world to me to talk about sport. Whereas music radio always felt like it was still a job. I still had to do my research on a pussycat doll, you know what I mean? Or I had to think about how am I going to interview Little Mix, because I'm no interest in what you're doing really, but I've got to really think about it. Whereas sports stars, I'm like, well, when I go home at night, I'm watching you. I'm watching you on the TV. I'm listening to you on the radio. I know all about you. So it always felt like I was cheating. But when I had that experience at 2012, I thought, no, fuck this, man. I'm having it. I'm going to do this. So I went on the holiday, and at the time I had an agent. I remember phoning my agent from the airport, and I said, right, bad news. I'm not going back to music radio. Good news. I want to do sports radio. He's like, oh, fuck it. How do we change that? Like I've just said, that get that credibility in there. I said, well, I know it's going to be a slow period. I know it's going to be starting from the bottom again, but I don't care. Again, coming back to what I was saying about desire and various things like that, I said, I don't care. If I've got to start at the bottom rung, I do not care. Just let's get this cracking. Anyway, went on the holiday, came back. When I came back, I phoned him. I said, right, where are we at? He said, well, you're in luck, because the guys at Absolute Radio in London, they already like what you do anyway, and they're looking for a new co-presenter with Ian Wright for a football phone-in show. I said, sweet as a nut. His personality, my personality will work. It's all about footy. Let's get in there. Let's go. And it was mega, man. So me and him did rock and roll football on like a phone-in show on Saturdays after the day's play and what have you. And we did that for about a year. We got on like House on Fire. It was brilliant. But that then enabled me just to slowly wean out of being on music radio, and then kind of position myself in that sporting world where I can start talking to people like Talksport and whoever in order to push onto the next thing. And it probably took about a year, 2 years, because in that period I went and worked at sports radio stations in Liverpool, and there were a few all over the country that I started working on and just doing little bits, mainly football. There was a little bit of boxing in there, but mainly football. And then Talksport picked me up and said, listen, man, we like what you're doing. Come and do some stuff for us. So obviously the big change is, one, the topic of something that I'm talking about has totally changed now. And there's no music. It's just purely talk radio, which is mega. So yeah, I moved into, like I said, I've been at Talksport now maybe about 7 years, 6-7 years as it's progressed. And
yeah, I like Talksport. It's a good radio. When I used to listen to it in Thailand when I was driving back and forwards to Pattaya to go and train. So I'd normally have Alan Pazilla be on at the time. When I'd be driving for some reason, it'd always be him. So I used to listen to quite a bit of Talksport. So how did you get from there to like working with Nick on Fight Disciples and BT Sport?
So the Talksport thing, when the Talksport thing started, it was only like, it started off as covering radio programs. So I didn't have my own show. So I was, every now and again, they'd phone up and say, oh, can you come and do this show? Can you come and do that? So I was doing bits, but obviously that doesn't, only doing one show a week or one show every 2 weeks or even one a month sometimes, that don't pay your mortgage, man. You've still got to work and still got to do bits, haven't you? So I was still moonlighting on other radio stations all over the place in order just to keep things ticking over. And then probably about 5 years ago, it will have been about, I've known Nick about 5 years now. So about 5 years ago, I was working at a radio station in Liverpool, and we were doing, again, it's just a sports program, on Radio City Talk doing my normal sports program, and in that I would have obviously chat about Liverpool, chat about Everton and Tranmere, and I would then shoehorn in things that I like. So I would shoehorn in boxing, shoehorning in UFC. So when I'd shoehorn this stuff into for UFC, the amount of guests that are UK based to come and talk about that type of thing, it's quite limited, because even 5 years ago, it was still an American-based, South American-based thing, you know. So I'm thinking, right, I've used all the journalists that I know. Who else is there? So I'm asking around the office, who do we know? Blah blah blah. And someone just shouted up and said, "Have you contacted Nick Pete?" So I don't know who Nick Pete is. What's the crack with that? He goes, "Oh, Nick, yeah, he's a Liverpool journalist. Used to work for the Echo. Blah 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 blah. But he's now editor of Fighters Only magazine." I went, "Fuck off, seriously?" He goes, yeah. I said, "Why don't I know about this dude previous to this? Because like that's probably the biggest mixed martial arts magazine out there." Right, cool. We've got his number. Yeah, we've got his number. Let's get him on. Now, what Nick was doing at the time, he was still living in Liverpool, but he was in between London and Newcastle, where the magazine was. So he was still, so he could come into the studio, which was a godsend, rather than do it over the phone. So I said, "Yeah, man, come in. As long as you don't mind coming in, come in." So he comes in, sits down, and I can't even remember what fight we spoke about or what was going on. But it's like when you meet the bird that you're going to marry, innit? You know what I mean? There's obviously chemistry there straight away. You think, he's all right, this lad. He's all right. He's got a bit of crack about him. Yeah, sound. He's because everybody else that I speak to about fight sports, especially journalists, they're serious. And I'm like, wow. So why are you doing it like this? It doesn't. People come to sport for entertainment first and foremost. Entertain these people, make it fun. You came to this sport because you of enjoyment. Why are you talking to him like a maths teacher? Stop it. And everybody else was doing that. Whereas Nick came in, and I think he got my vibe straight away. And he's like, "Well, yeah, man, this guy's going to get smashed at the weekend." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, here we go." So we're all having a bit of a crack. This is live on the radio. And then we finished it, and he left. And I said to my producer at the time, I said, "Keep that kid's number, right? Because he's coming on. We need to get him on every single week, because that's the vibe I'm trying to create. We've got it with the football lads. We've managed to get certain podcasters involved, like the Anfield Rap lads, to talk about Liverpool like this and da. Brilliant if he's our guy for UFC and even boxing." So I think he did another 2 or 3 appearances. And then he phoned my producer up and he went, "Can I have Adam's number?" And obviously he asked me, and I went, yeah, Sam, mate. What's he after? He phoned me up. He said, "Listen, I've got an idea for something. I've been looking for somebody to be able to do this week. I think you're the guy." I went, "All right, let's go for a beer." So we met up, we had a beer, and he went, "Right, I've pitched all these ideas to my bosses in various magazines down the years, and it's just falling on deaf ears. They're not seeing where the market's going now digitally and all this type of stuff." And I'm like, "All right, yeah, blah, 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 blah." Anyway, he's waxing lyrical about whatever he wants to do. And I went, "Yeah, man." I said, "Absolutely." I said, "You've kind of come to me at the exact right time." Because at that time, I was doing a lot of football shows for Talksport, and I was knocking on the boss's door every single week saying, "We need to do boxing. We need to do boxing." And there was no boxing on Talksport at the time, none. And I'm like,
Steve Butts is now. Steve Butts do a thing on Talksport.
Yeah, but he was doing Colin Murray's show in the morning.
Okay.
It wasn't a specific boxing show. He was part of a thing. And now, obviously, he's gone over to 5 Live. He's 5 Live's guys now. So there was no specific boxing program. I'm like, going, "What are we doing? Come on, man. You've got this kid called Anthony Joshua coming through. He's going to be all right. You know what I mean? I think he's going to win some world titles. Let's jump on this shit. Tyson Fury's just about to fight Klitschko. Are we going to do this or what?" And anyway, it was falling on deaf ears. So I felt that I needed to do something away from Talksport in the boxing world or the fight sports world to create an audience and create a name. But again, I was thinking, how the fuck am I going to do it? Anyway, Nick got in contact with me. He said, "This is my idea. What do you reckon?" And I went, "It's funny you contacted me now because I'm thinking of doing this." He said, "Let's have a go. Let's do a podcast." So we started Fight Disciples, right? And the first 9 months of it, we just fucked about, literally, and we took for granted the amount of contacts we had. We were just happy to be doing something else other than what we were doing. And that's the best way of being able to describe it. So we did 9 months of fucking about, messing about, having brilliant guests on, doing okay with the amount of people that were listening. Not mega, just it were all right. It was just an excuse for once a week for me and him to sound off. And I think we got to around about Christmas. It must have been 2016. Around about Christmas of 2016. And I said to Nick, I said, right, we've got to take this seriously. I said, if this is going to go anywhere now, if this is going to do the things that I want it to do, whether we're going to use this as a vehicle in order to propel us into more mainstream stuff, whether it's television, whether it's more radio-based stuff, we need to double down and absolutely get a grip of how social media works, how everything works in order to promote this thing, and proper go for it. And he was feeling the same thing. It was one of them where nobody's saying anything, we're just cracking on and whatever. But then we're both getting frustrated with certain bits of stuff. So anyway, I said, right. I said, this is my pledge to you, right? I said, you carry on being you. I'll make this podcast and I'll make it win an award. I'll do it so therefore it wins something, of which will then hopefully get us on the map. And then once we're on the map, I'll leverage that position in order to make this go boom mainstream wise. Because I think when we first started it, we thought we'll set a podcast up, somebody will sponsor us, we'll get paid a fucking fortune, blah, 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 and all those types of things, which are, so hard to do right from the start. Mm-hmm. Especially when you don't really have a name in that game and there's so many other people doing their thing. We were lucky that at the time of setting Fight Disciples up, there was nobody doing what we were doing. You had the serious guys, you had like your Sky Sports and all them. They all had podcasts out, but it was like maths teacher stuff. Whereas we were two lads who knew our stuff, but we made it sound like you're in the pub with us talking about fight sports.
Yeah.
So we had that chat over Christmas, said, right, man, let's go. And then 2017, I was just hell-bent on winning something, of making content. Because obviously my background in radio, I know how to win an award without sounding like an egotistical prick. So I was hell-bent on creating that type of audio for Fight Disciples in order to be able to then get it to a stage where an awarding body goes, fucking hell, this is the shit. This is what we need to do.
That? What did you do? What do you think was the big switch?
As in what? So for example,
I made it happen that we won the award, and you weren't winning one then. What did you do to change?
So for example, when we first started, it was just we were concentrating too much on using big names, I suppose, on the podcast in order to leverage their social media followings in order to hopefully boost ours, which didn't necessarily work. And just the structure of the conversations, just the structure of things that were in the show that listen, it was good. But, the content was still good, but it wasn't what I knew that I could work with to make an award entry, right? So, for example, I mean, there'll be people that have listened to the show over the last couple of years, and they wouldn't have noticed anything. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have noticed anything. But it was just me taking it seriously, from rather than just me and my mate having a laugh about boxing, to me going, this is a radio show. I am going to structure this in a way where certain things are going to happen within the show that I can then use as nice pieces of audio that can be showcased and obviously shown to, not just from an award point of view, to shown to sponsors and various things like that.
Got you.
So that was it then. We went for it, and within 4 months we got nominated for the British Podcast Award. And then obviously we won that first one. And I thought, there's no way we're fucking winning this. So I didn't even go. I went to AJ Klitschko. It happened, the award ceremony was on the same night. And I went, I'm going AJ Klitschko. And Nick went, I'm going to award ceremony. I went, nah, mate. Come to the fight. And he went, no, I'm going to award ceremony. So now, obviously we won that first one. I have never been to an award ceremony for anything that we've been nominated for, because he thinks it's bad luck. So I'm not allowed to go anymore. So yeah, so we won that first one, and then it blew up. Then all of a sudden went, who the fuck are these guys? What's going on here? People were paying more attention. We saw our numbers go through the roof, where people were having a bit of a look. But more so, I then had something to speak to mainstream media, where I could go, well, I've got this podcast that's kicking the shit out of everything on the market at the moment. So I kind of know what I'm doing. Why don't we put this on your radio station? So that's how the Talksport thing then started to go, because my bosses at Talksport went, oh shit, we want to get back into boxing. Who should we use to get back into boxing? And I'm pretty convinced they will have had a million other names, first of all. Yep. But somebody within the building has gone, well, Adam works here and he's got this podcast, so why don't you put him on and see what it's like? I'm sure he might be a cheaper option than X, Y, and Z or whatever it may be at the start. And that's what it was. We did, I think the first one that we did was Anthony Crolla fought Ricky Burns, and that was the first one where they went, right, get on there, host a live fight night for us, live from the arena, do blah, 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 and all this type of stuff. Anyway, we did it, and then the next thing you know, they've signed this massive contract, and I'm on there as the lead of this, as all their boxing coverage, which was great, and which then enabled me to, when certain slots came up on the show where I can go, shall I just bring my mate in from Fight Disciples? Yeah, no worries. So then we were kind of starting to turn mainstream broadcasting into, well, it's just kind of like the podcast, but without swearing. That's basically where we're at right now, live on the radio, which has been great. And Nick's been obviously a big part of that over the last year or so. And then once I was out as part of the radio coverage, I was out in LA for the first Wilder Fury fight. Whilst I was out there, BT Sport were out there obviously covering it for TV. So we were out there, and I got friendly with a couple of the BT Sport guys that went out for dinner, just a couple of chats and stuff like that. And they were familiar with my work. A few of them listened to the podcast and what have you. And I think I said something just off the cuff after a couple of drinks. I said, you need to do a UFC show, guys. I said, that's what he said. You've got the coverage. You need to do more. You need to do a magazine show. You've got Dan Hardy there. You need to be doing something. That's what you need to be doing. And it was like I'd said something to them that they were already thinking about anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It was like
because they just had these guys with Dan and John Gooden, didn't they?
Yeah, but
which was
that still goes on. That still goes on, but that's a UFC product. It's not a BT Sports product. Okay. The UFC make that, and it's still going inside the octagon. Still going. It's still doing really, really well. But I was thinking more of what you're seeing now, more of a conversational, just lads talking about fights, man. Just having fun with it and getting some people on and having a bit of a crack. Anyway, about maybe a month after that, I got a phone call saying, right, UFC London's just been announced. And this was Till Masvidal. UFC London's been announced. We're thinking of making a program. Do you want to be involved with it? And we went, yeah, man, let's go. You, Dan Hardy, and we'll rotate the guest. Right, okay, Sam, no bother. So I phoned Nick up. I said, listen, man, this is what's happened. This is where we're at. Don't worry about it, because this is the plan. We're going to try and do what we've done with radio, to try and do it with TV. So, and that's what happened. So we did Till Masvidal. That was when we launched it. Our first guest was John Kavanagh. He came on, and it was great. It went really, really well. And then we started doing numbered events. Like, we're all doing one show a month. Me, Dan, and it would be a rotating guest. Like Till came on, Leon Edwards came on. There's loads of different random ones. And then we did. I think we did UFC 242 in Abu Dhabi last year, which was Habib. I mean, this is how short a time frame that this is all blown up, right? So Habib's fighting Poirier, and me, like the show's like the basically said, right, we're going to revamp the show. We're going to do 5 programs whilst we're out there, Monday all the way through. You can interview the stars, and then we're going to do these big shows, of which had now just become normal. But that was the first time that we did it, I think. And so part of those conversations that I was having was, we need a third man. We need a third man to come in and come and just add a little bit of, a bit of flavour or whatever it may be. And then you got any ideas of who it should be, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this guy. So then, well, we don't know whether that would work and all this stuff. I said, let's just give it a go and let's see what happens. So anyway, we all went out to Abu Dhabi. It worked really, really well. And then we did... and then what happened... Sorry, straight after Abu Dhabi, I got back and we went to Copenhagen. And it was just me and Dan that got sent to Copenhagen. And don't get me wrong, it's still good. It was wicked. I think we had Nicholas Dolby on, and we had Leon Edwards out. He was out there at the time. Till was on it as well. We had a great time. But the dynamic of having Nick in that pot, it's a really, people kind of underestimate how important that is, of having that. It's a unique piece of chemistry that we've got between me, Dan, and Nick. It really is. I mean, you can't replicate it. You can't stick someone else in to do my gig. You can't stick someone else in to do Dan's gig. You can't stick someone else in to do Nick's gig. It just don't work. You won't. You might get an all right program. You might get from A to B, but you just wouldn't get that. You know what I mean? So
I think the dynamic's super between the three of you. You've all got your roles that you play. Like, Nick does his like super biased role and just all excited and everything. And he's got that knowledge. And Dan's like a computer in a way, isn't he? At times, and then
mate, it's an oracle. My job's to fly. I fly the plane.
You link everything up superbly when you're doing it. I think you bring everyone in and move them both around. I like that.
And that's it. That's it. I mean, there's too many presenters out there, and I see it all the time where they want to get their knowledge across. Nobody's tuning in for my knowledge, mate. Mm-hmm. I've got a former UFC title challenger here. They want to hear what he wants to say about this fight, right? So my job purely on UFC Open Mat is to fly the plane. Know when to change the pace of what we're talking about, slow it down a touch, get serious, let's have a bit of a crack, all those types of things. Yeah, they're a skill within themselves, I get that. But my job is just to do the shit that people don't necessarily see. It's just a flying of the plane. Nick's there to hype the shit out of this thing. You know what I mean? He's there to represent the fan that's sat at home. That's what, and that's unfair on him because he's a really knowledgeable dude. This is the guy that used to edit Mixed Martial Arts, the Fighters Only magazine. He knows his stuff. He's been at the very, very top, but he's playing that particular role. Whereas Dan's the oracle. He's the technician. He's the guy that's going to give you some shit that you've never seen before. You know what I mean? He's the education. We sit there going, oh yeah, I've never thought of it like that before. You know what I mean? Those types of things. So when our bosses started seeing that, all of a sudden then it's like, right, you're going out to Vegas. Right, you're going out to this. Right, and then it just went wallop. Obviously, COVID hit us now, which has slowed us down an awful lot. But Jesus Christ, man, I might as well have bought a house in Vegas because we were living there. We did New York, didn't we, for the BMF title? We did Colby Usman, we did Connor.
Which is the best show you've been to?
The best show?
Do you get to watch the fights?
No, I never do.
Because I heard you saying that the other day. It's like,
No, that's the worst bit. That's the worst bit about all this, because on a trip, my best day is my first day, because obviously I'm the guy that interviews everybody. Mm-hmm. So I sit down and I'll be fortunate enough to sit with Connor or sit with Habib or sit with whoever the stars are that week. I'm in that zone, man, and we are having a whale of a time. That's Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're making open mat programs, which again I absolutely love. Uh-huh. Saturday when it comes to fight night, Dan and Nick are having the time of their lives. They're cage side. They're just like going, yeah, we're just waiting for the review show. So they're like fans. They're in there just having the time of their lives. My job is still as the interview guy. So I'm backstage when people, don't get me wrong, it's still a wicked gig. When the fighters have finished and they've come out and they go and speak to the media, they come speak to me. So it's me, ESPN, TSN from Canada, and then everybody else. So I'm still getting exclusives backstage, but at all the fights since I've started doing this role, I think the last time I was octagon side was Till Masvidal. That's horrendous, isn't it? That's horrendous. And I've been at so many great fights. Yeah, so I'm watching it
from where I'm sitting.
So I watch it all on the screen in the back.
How do you? One thing for me, it's like I speak to fighters now. When you get in with that Bushido spirit, yeah, okay. How do you extract stuff out of people? You know what I mean? You've got a naturally gregarious sort of personality, which is good, and you're used to speaking on the radio to people. But how do you get things out of people? What have you got? What's your thing, or is it just you?
Like I've got some weird mind trick. I'm going right, motherfucker.
I don't know. What do you do? Do you do loads of research? Do you find it because it makes a big
so like I was saying before, this isn't acting, and it's not acting for you. You're a fan. You know what I mean? In your downtime, you're still watching this shit. If I wasn't working on it, I'd still be watching it.
Cage Warriors.
Yeah, you see, you'd still be in, wouldn't you? You'd still be like going, "Oh, that guy's fighting this weekend. I have to see that." It's like this weekend coming up. We've got 3 major boxing cards. We've got Cage Warriors, as you said, and UFC 253. Man, I'm gonna have about 4 screens going on at my house like this, because you don't want to miss out. That's where I'm at. So, and it's not just the fight. That's not just the thing I'm interested in, not the technicalities of what I'm watching. Don't get me wrong, of course, that's the most entertaining bit of it, and that's the reason why I'm here. But I'm fascinated by the stories of athletes that are willing to do this for a living. You've got they're chemically imbalanced in their head. They don't think like anybody else in the world. For them to go, right, I'll sign a contract. I'm going to go away now for 10 weeks and train to fight you. 9 times out of 10, a fight goes off on emotion. That's what the normal person associates a fight with. Somebody, goes off in a boozer or something, and next thing you know, you're fighting. Nobody's going, I'll tell you what, I'll fight you in 10 minutes. That doesn't happen. These guys do that. They train and then go away, and it's just mad that somebody will lock a cage door behind them and off they go. You know what I mean? So I'm fascinated in the stories of this because they are real human beings. They've got kids, they've got wives, they've got husbands, they've got all these types of things. They've gone through the sacrifices that we were talking about before, about sleeping in gyms and being homeless, and some of them military officers, and all these random things. They've all had different jobs and all this stuff. I love the narratives of these superstars. So when you're talking about the interviewing of them, the first thing is that I'm genuinely interested. I'm genuinely interested in you, mate. You know what I mean? I want to know about you. And that's the thing. Too many people get caught up in not concentrating on the human that they're speaking to. Mm-hmm. For example, it's very easy to get caught up in a Conor McGregor fight week and only speak about Conor to everybody. Very easy.
Yeah.
Whereas Conor's just one bit of this. Yeah, he's a big bit. He's a massive bit of it. Of course he is. And you've got to pay that respect to that. But don't forget that the guy that he's fighting, they've also got their own journey. So you've got to pay that its respect. The biggest thing is listening. I suppose that's what you've got to listen to what is being said. I'm probably again, this sounds like I'm being egotistical, but probably my biggest skill is just picking up on energy, man. When you're in a conversation, you can pick up on energy. You can tell whether somebody wants to be there. You can tell whether somebody doesn't want to be there. You can tell whether, what they're saying they believe in. All those types of things. Don't be afraid of going there with people like that, and being real and being honest and coming from your heart rather than all the prep that you've done. And don't get me wrong, I prep like fuck. So I'll sit there and I'll go. So the night before an interview, nobody will see me. As soon as let's say I've gone to Vegas, I'll normally arrive there on the Monday night. And I've normally done this on the plane all the way over. I'll do it. I won't do anything at home because I like to be in the fight week mode. You know what I mean? So the minute I get on the plane, it's fight week now for me. Right, let's do it on the plane. So we'll work on the plane. We'll get to my room. We'll work in my room. We'll just go over it. Going back to what I was saying before about manifesting certain things and thinking about all these nuances of the conversations that I'm going to have. And bear in mind, these are all happening on the same day. So, and I might have 6 or 7 of these conversations that I've had to plan in my head of main event, co-main event, Dana's coming up, da-da-da-da-da. And they're not all going to arrive on time.
No,
if you've got Conor McGregor booked, get ready to wait for 8 hours, mate. Get ready to wait for a good 8 hours for Conor McGregor, right? I'll tell you some tales about people who I'm waiting for in a minute. But anyway, the planning of that, the manifestation of that, and then the Tuesday, fresh as a daisy, right, let's go. Here we go. And then all that planning, all those notes that you've made, they're a guide.
Mm-hmm.
That is not verbatim. You are not. And there'll be certain things on there that you'll kick yourself afterwards going, oh, fuck, didn't get that in. But it doesn't matter because the most important thing is the start of that conversation. Start well. Mm-hmm. So start it well. Start it with where you want to be in that particular moment. You know all about them as a fighter. Start it well. Once you've started it well and said your bit, listen. That's it. Listen. Because they might say something that you ain't planned for, mate. Mm-hmm. And you go, oh, hang on a minute. You just said blah, 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 blah. What do you mean by that? And away we go.
First, I was too rigid with what I'd written down. And like they'd say something, but I'd just go back to the next question. You know what I mean? And I think something Nick said as well to me about bringing myself into it at times. You know what I mean? Instead of, so there is a conversation. Whereas at first, just like a piece of cardboard sat there, like,
You're a real human being with real life experiences, things that they can also empathize with. You know that Conor is a dad. You know these things, yeah. Okay, you are working a fight week. You are catering for a mixed martial arts audience, but that mixed martial arts audience know everything about him in the cage, man. They know all about that. They know all of. Let's give them something that they ain't going to see. Let's give them a little bit of something different. And if that means, you know what I mean, talking to him about being a dad or whatever it may be, let's go there, you know. But you're only going to get to those points by listening and understanding the audience ain't there for you. Your job purely is to make that person that you are speaking to look as good as they possibly can to their fans. You are the portal. That's it. You are opening the door for this human being. That's it. And once you get to that understanding, you've cracked it. You're away.
Yeah, I enjoy your interviews with people. I was watching that one with Damon the other day and come across as really natural and things, you know, and obviously I had questions there for him, you know what I mean? But it came across as a conversation, not a series of questions, if you know what I mean. Which is how you want it to come across, I think, anyway. I think that's a much better way to it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. That's the aim. That's the aim of what I'm doing.
What have you been waiting for? You said you'd come back to that one.
Oh, mate. Well, Conor's obviously one. So I think I waited about 8 hours for Conor, and then when he turned up, he wanted to do a costume change. Which, you know what I mean? I've waited 8 hours. What's another hour? Crack on, son. Go and put a suit on. To be fair, he came back looking $1 million. The longest one, though, without any doubt, shadow of a doubt, was Nate Diaz.
That was my guess. Like Nate Diaz would be the one.
Gee. So if you look at that day of interviews when we were in New York for the BMF title, so we nailed that. We're just nailing interview after interview after interview. We've done Wonder Boy, we've done Gastelum. Till wasn't there because he arrived late, obviously with his visa situation. So there were loads of guys. We were just going through loads of guys and girls throughout the course of the day. Masvidal rocks up. He was wicked, brilliant, right? Now, bear in mind, I'd started that at I think my day started 10 in the morning was the first interview. I'd done Masvidal 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon after a row of a few of them.
Yep.
And that would have been my last one. Nate was next, yeah? If you look at the videos and the contrasting daytimes, it's mad because everybody else is in the middle of the day, daylight, sun's beaming into the room, everything's beautiful. I think we finished Nate at 10 o'clock at night. So that's 12 hours, technically, even though he was probably booked for midday-ish. 12 hours. Absolute crackers. Just sat there going, is he coming? Should we? Yeah, he's definitely coming. He's in the hotel. He's checked it. No, I don't believe it. Is he? But then, when he rocks up, and he's legendary. You know, he's got an unbelievable personality. He's one of the most polite dudes that you could come across, and he answers every single question. There's no BS. It's just, Nate, what do you reckon of this? Bang, there's your answer, mate. And I'm like, fucking sound. I'd have waited 2 days for this shit. This is absolutely super. He goes away. That's what rock stars do, man. Rock stars can do that to you.
The other one I'd like, Ben Askren. He always seems like a good interview.
Yeah.
To work with. Because he always gives you something back, you know, from what I've seen.
I find it with a lot of fighters, man. They're just honest. There's no BS. The guy, well, Colby's always a challenge because he's playing a character, obviously. The guy that I really admire when I interview him is Adesanya, because he takes control of the conversation. It's mad. Like, you can feel him just taking over. You're thinking, okay, just run with whatever he wants to do. You can prep as much as you want for Israel Adesanya, as much as you want. But when he comes with that energy, he's like going, no. We're talking about this today. He will go, boom, and off you go. And you're thinking, shit, where do we go? That is proper superstar stuff. Someone that understands doing it in the octagon, doing it on the microphone it's all part of the same thing to transcend and become a superstar.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I'm not saying that I'll ever get to that big, but one of the things I want from this is like give people a platform to do stuff. You know what I mean? Hopefully, there's enough take up in it that they can sell themselves and hopefully get older fighters to give younger fighters some advice and things like that. I was talking to a guy called Nick Chapman who's trying to do something with selling, got a product together because he got a load of sponsorship. You know, and so many fighters are like, think sponsorships for free money and not that you have to work for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a crazy business, like. So, are you still around the time? It's 1:30.
I've seen a few messages coming. Yeah, go on, mate. I've got a couple of minutes. You crack on. If you've got any more questions, crack on.
I'm pretty much done. They were all the things that I wanted to do. The other one was the last one was poses. Were you DJing at the same time as DJ Mikey B, as he was known then, or?
Yeah, man. I keep telling him that we need to do something. We need to get it on. I'd smash him to bits now. No, what it was, again, he was coming through obviously he's from Catterall. So he was playing over there, he was playing Accrington, and he was playing Great Harwood, which are little towns outside of Blackburn, and I was playing in Blackburn. And then every now and again I'd cross over into Accrington and stuff like that. He was playing hard stuff, man. I was playing like hands up in the air, girly, gospel house. He was playing like, you know what I mean? Typical Mikey B. So, but he was good, man. He was playing at places like, there's a place called Munro's up our neck of the woods, which was like a proper place. And he was playing there. But luckily for him, his kickboxing and his MMA went through the roof. And that's how I suppose my love of MMA came about, because obviously you're on that DJ circuit and everybody goes, oh, you like boxing, don't you? Have you Bisping? You know Bisping, don't you, from Catterall? Yeah, he's a cage fighter. Because that was the thing at the time. He's a cage fighter. He fights in a cage and all this type of stuff.
Still, people say that to me when I was in the UK, cage fighting. Oh, cage fight. Yeah. So that's how it used to be referred to me. And I'm like, and at the time I didn't know too much about it. And I'm like, and one of my best mates who was sensational at karate, he'd done some training with Bisping at that particular time. So he's like, oh yeah, mate, we need to go and watch him. King George's Hall, he's doing this kickboxing thing and whatever. Yeah, all right, go down. So you go down and watch him and you start following like on that scene, and he becomes British champion at kickboxing and all this type of carry on. But the big one was
when he turned up on Tough. He turned up on Tough, and it was Lancashire Evening Telegraph, local lads doing this over in the States and stuff. It was mad, mate. And it felt like, even though we weren't mates, and that's not through us not being mates, it's just like, I knew him, and I met, that was it. But it felt like your mate were representing. He was on TV, he was doing his thing, and obviously he went out there and ripped the gaff up, didn't he? He did unbelievably well. And now it's just weird that me and him have gone like that. and now I'm doing interviews with him for his life story and shit. I'm like, this ain't right, man. This ain't right. But he's doing brilliantly in it, even post career, having achieved what he achieved in the octagon, to him now doing what he's doing on the microphone. I mean, he's brilliant. He's absolutely.
His book was very good as well. I read that while I was away. It's like a really good read. Him and whoever helped him co-author it was really, really good piece of work.
Mate, he's made for it. I mean, he's made for gobbing off on a microphone, isn't he, and talking about fight sports. He's absolutely superb at it. And it's really, I mean, I'm looking, hopefully he's out on Fight Island for Habib, because I haven't seen him. We did a thing over Zoom during these crazy times where we were celebrating him. I think it was 2 years since he beat Rockhold or whatever it was. And we were doing a Michael Bisping day, and he was just brilliant, man. Some of his tales are absolutely superb. And he's always good for a night out, is Mike. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's good. It makes me laugh when people are like, oh yeah, trash talking. No. That's just like loads of people down the pub. So many people give it out like that. I don't know what I meant.
The best is obviously he was the nearly man for such a long period of time. He beats Rockhold. I mean, beating Rockhold is just great in itself. But turning up to the press conference, belt on, vest on, beer. Going, I've cracked the game, lads. I've cracked it. Yes. Go on, boy.
On that note, thanks very much, Adam. I really appreciate your time, mate. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
No, mate. Listen, good luck with everything that you're doing with the podcast. Keep chasing it. Keep chasing them dreams, and I've no doubt we'll see you at. We'll see you. Well, I won't see you cage side because, as you know, I'm not allowed to go around the cages anymore because I'm backstage. But who knows? We might see you at a fight week once we're all allowed to go back to arenas and stuff.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be great. Thanks very much, man. Appreciate it. Take care.
Take care, buddy. See you in a bit, mate.